Hello guys, it's me Simo Orahara, and in this video we'll talk about his scene and why Ichigo got this additional 4 eyes. Is it the almighty power that Ichigo has activated, or is it just a reflection of that power, or what? All this we will discuss in this video. But before we dive into the topic of this video, I need some of your reacts. Click like if you like the video, give your feedback through a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you like the content. And if you want to support me, you can be a membership in my channel or through super thanks, or support me on Patreon. And as always, a big thanks to my supporters. So first we must determine what is the purpose of the training that Ichigo is undergoing now. According to Ichibi, he told him that in order to be a match for Yhwach, he would have to be something more than a Shinigami. Of course, this concept was previously referred to in the story, but that was in another context, and I'm speaking here about Aizen and Urahara. So one of Aizen's greatest goals was to break down the barriers between Shinigami and Hollows and evolve to a level stronger than both. Urahara Kizuki was also looking into the same issue. He wanted to strengthen the Shinigami's Kunpaku, and it is a coincidence that both of them were moving towards the same goal, though in a different way. Aizen wanted to be in Ryu's place, so he saw that his level as a Shinigami didn't allow him to be in that place, no matter how strong he was. So he entered into those developments to be in Ryu's place. As for Urahara Kizuki, and what we can conclude from Hisage's conclusion is that Urahara Kizuki, one of his goals was that he wanted to strengthen the Shinigami's Kunpaku in order for them to replace Ryu, and therefore Ryu wouldn't be the only one who carries the burden of the entire worlds. Of course, Urahara Kizuki in the novel didn't deny what Hisage said, but said that it was just a secondary matter. So the bottom line, both Urahara and Aizen know very well that in order to be in Ryu's shoes, you shouldn't have to be a unigender power. If you are a Shinigami, you can't be Ryu. Hollow, you can't be Ryu. And even if you were Quincy, you can't be Ryu. But in the last arc, and what came in the novel and the new anime episodes, Kubo went deeper into this topic, and he gave us broader concepts of what it needed for a person to be suitable to take Ryu's place. Because we have to differentiate between two things. Ryu was a person with almighty power and was free person who was fighting Hollows in the original world. And between the sailed Ryu in the cocoon. I mean, before he got the name of Ryu, he had his personal name, and more than that, he had all the power of all the races that were in that world, and the ones that came after. He was human, Quincy, and Shinigami, and he has 4 Brink's abilities. So we're talking here about 4 powers, 4 power within one body. And this point is one of the main things that make a person a candidate to replace Ryu. That's why most of those with multiple sources of power were candidates to be in Ryu's place, like Ginjo or Hikone, as well as the most prominent candidate, which is Ichigo. However, one thing of that person who was the first Soul King in the story remains a mystery. It is the Almighty. We only know that the Almighty in its initial concept is a vision of future. Later Yhwach said that the Almighty real ability was to change the future. In the novel, Ichibi mentioned that among the abilities Ryu had was omniscience and the ability of the omnipotent. And if we take the term omniscience, it is almost similar to the concept of the first Almighty definition that Yhwach mentioned for the first time. Almighty is the ability to see the future and know everything about what he sees in that future. Of course, the special thing about the Almighty is not only in its strength, but the form it takes on its owner, which is manifested in the shape of the eyes. When Yhwach wasn't activating the Almighty, he had normal eyes, and only one ring in each eye. But after he activated the Almighty with its full power, he had 3 eyes, while Ryu had 4 eyes. And here where I will focus on a Japanese theory that talks about the issue of eyes, and that the eyes are basically a symbol of the number of power that each person possesses. For example, Ryu is mentioned as a human, Quincy, Shinigami, and Fullbring, and that's why he had 4 eyes. As for Yhwach, he had 3 eyes because he is Quincy as well as human, because he was most likely born from a human mother, especially since Ichibi had previously called him a lowly human. and also Fullbring, because we mustn't forget that all the Fullbrings had abilities because they existed in the wombs of their mothers with a certain part of Ryu. As for Yhwach, he is originally the son of Ryu or a shredded power of Ryu, and therefore he will be born as a Fullbring. And as you know, one of the characteristics of a Fullbring is that they are able to give strength to others, and we have an example in this, which is Ginju. Being a Fullbring, he was able to give the power that he stole from Ichigo to the rest of the Fullbrings who were with him. And this is exactly what Yhwach was doing, because what we know is that the Quincy's don't have the ability to share the power, but rather manipulate the Rishi. And for Yhwach, he was sharing power with the other people and he was given abilities. So if we say that Yhwach is human, Fullbring, Quincy, this gives us 3 powers, in other words, 3 eyes rings, and we have seen them at the end of chapter 610 and are the same that we have seen in the flashback of Hashveld 1000 years ago. And more than that, and what confirmed this is that Yhwach, when he first absorbed Ryu's power, he got 7 eyes, his 3 and Ryu's 4, thus became 7. Another thing, Mimihage, being the Shinigami side of Ryu, had 1 eye. As for Pernida, this member is shrouded in mystery, because unlike Mimihage, he had 2 eyes. So for me, I do think that Pernida had 1 eye, but when he met Yhwach had given him a Schrift, so he got a 2nd eye. And as for Ichigo and the scene we saw at the end of episode 16, personally, I don't see it as an activation of Ichigo's almighty power, but I think it's like a reflection or manifestation of the powers that Ichigo has, in addition to his main eye. So 4 other eyes are reflected with a total of 5 eyes, which are 5 powers: Human, Shinigami, Quincy, Hollow, and Fullbring. So that I see the matter as Ichigo was examining all the power that exists within Ichigo with some memories from the past in order for Ichigo to decide whether he will be able to be a vassal or not. So as I said, I don't think Ichigo did the Almighty, because I don't think the existence of the Almighty is essential to the world's remaining immutable. But I think its presence is essential in dividing the original world, and this is what Ryu did in the past, which is the same thing that Yhwach wanted to do when he absorbed Ryu's power and wanted to make the 3 worlds as one. So guys, what do you think about the eyes that we have seen in the last episode of Ichigo? Tell me your opinions and see you in my next video.